If you're waiting to be saved from the hellscape in front of us, it's time to stop doing that, because the knight in shining armor isn't coming. It's really up to us. We're the only ones that can decide what comes next from our sovereign choice. And we're the only ones that can heal all the patterns within us that have caused our life to express the way it's expressing. And today's guest is Tara Wiskow. She is an intuitive energy healer and transformational speaker, and she's so inspiring. She lost 220 pounds naturally by healing deep emotional wounds, and she's just got such a powerful story of self-reclamation to share with us today. So get a nice quiet spot and nestle down and join us to find out more.
Soul Nectar Show, the Soul Nectar Show. You're invited, delighted to discover who you are. Anything is possible if you believe. So join us on this beautiful journey. Soul Nectar Show, Soul Nectar Show.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Soul Nectar Show, that show where we talk about all things essence, where we gather around the campfire and we share our stories of connection to that which is greater than us, to the big mystery beyond the veil, to those synchronistic moments that lead us inexorably to a deeper understanding of ourselves and what we are doing here on this blue dot in the middle of an ocean of stars. I'm your host, Kerri Hummingbird, and I love having these conversations week after week. They're so illuminating, and I get to connect with my sisters and brothers of light that have been out there doing the deep trench work and have so much goodness to share with us and so much wisdom to inspire us on our own journeys. And what's really up this week, as I'm recording this, we've had this beautiful rising of Black Moon Lilith, in the stars, opposing Uranus and Gemini, and this changeover that we just had a change in the guard with Uranus, and now we're moving into this Gemini, which is much more quick and in this mental energy and very, very fast communication. And I mean, this is the same energy that produced the Civil War and that produced the Revolutionary War, that produced World War II. And so it's a big energy, and it's definitely a polarizing energy. And it can be extra polarizing at this time on the planet. When I look at what's really up in the space, I can see how the blame game is being played really strong. And it's really the karmic debt, and we're moving into a new earth without karmic debt. Like, we're moving beyond the you must be punished for doing that sort of game, and moving out of, because why? Because if we are waiting for someone else to pay the price for what they did before we move on with our lives, we will be waiting a very long time. And this has been proven in your karma. Just look back over it and see how many lifetimes did you have to tussle with certain souls because they absolutely refused to be accountable, to apologize, to make restitution. And so here we are, and I've been writing about this for a couple of weeks now. We're stuck in what? In the sludge of karmic debt. And, it's so, and why is it sludgy? Because it's so frustrating to see the truth of things and have somebody completely deny it, and have somebody refuse to be accountable, even to apologize, or even to just say, I did that. Yeah, I did. And be happy with yourself. But to just say, I did that. No, they can't even do that. And I've been watching an influencer, Lucas Bean, Bean, on TikTok and Instagram, that explains a lot of the mentality behind this refusal to be accountable. And when we're talking about, the list of very wealthy people who have done tremendously awful things that shall not be named so that I don't get censored, that list is like, they're not going to pay. I mean, we can see the writing on the wall. And so when you hit a brick wall on your journey of justice and restitution, what do? Do you just stay hanging out there with your sign saying there should be justice? I demand justice. How much of your personal power and energy, since we're heading into a full Scorpio moon on Friday, and I know this is going to be released, a week or two later, but you guys can look back and see how much of your personal power is given away waiting to be saved, waiting for someone else to do the right thing, waiting for someone else to figure it out. And I've been talking about the shadow of inertia and how the shadow of inertia has built into it this program that says somebody else will take care of it. It's like a collective agreement that, oh, somebody else, it's a total deflection. Somebody else will take care of that. Somebody else will do that. So somebody else has got that handled. That's not my job. Somebody else. And that's actually part of the shadow of inertia. And inertia creates what? Sludge. Because we're stuck and we're not moving forward. And we're also not expressing it because of pretty, pleasing, and polite. So we're not actually even safe to express our anger and our grief and our frustration and our rage. And if we can't express those, it just gets stifled inside of us, and it causes who does it cause harm? Us. We drink our own poison. And so what's the remedy? Well, we're here to talk about that with Tara Wiskow. She's here joining us. I'm so glad you're here, Tara.
Oh my gosh, yes. Thank you, Kerri. I am so excited to be here. I love everything that you have said opening this episode up. Truly amazing.
Yeah, I'm so glad. We actually postponed our initial recording because it got boxed into too tight a window. And we're like, no, we're not doing that. We need space. We need space. So Tara is an intuitive energy healer and transformational speaker who helps women break free from internal blocks, energetic clutter, and outdated identities so they can create the body, life, and relationships that they desire. And she actually lost 220 pounds naturally by healing deep emotional wounds. And so Tara is the best person to have this conversation with because, like, Tara, everything that people are like running from right now, or like just going, well, somebody save me. Where's my knight in shining armor? Like, what justice is going to come to, where is God?
Yeah, right?
Where's Jesus? Jesus, take the wheel. Wait a second. No, like, it's not happening, is it? So if we stay frozen, those traumas don't heal and we're the ones that suffer, right? And you know that better than anyone else. So tell us your story. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, I think my story started much like everybody else's story starts in your childhood, which is one of the reasons why we become so disconnected from the fact that we have these struggles, is because we don't remember much of our childhood. We don't think that anything in our childhood could continue to carry through and affect us into adulthood. So we're very oblivious to it, blind to it, and stuck in the cycle of wondering what's wrong with us and why can't we move forward. And when I started doing the healing work and I started to go deep into gaining a better understanding of why I was this woman that couldn't find her purpose, who I was disgusted with and absolutely wished that I wasn't her, I realized that it all started at 8 years old when I discovered on accident by my aunt, she's developmentally delayed. She had no idea what a secret meant. There is no concept to it. She shared with me that she saw my dad. And I said, well, I know he's in the house because it's Easter. It's my birthday party. Everybody's over. And she said, well, not your dad, Junior, silly. Your dad, Bruce. I didn't have a dad named Junior. Or Bruce, sorry. I had a dad named Junior. Like, I had no idea. So that moment in my life opened it up where I discovered that I truly did have a dad named Bruce that had chosen not to be in my life. And I started to see all these differences. My mom and dad Junior and two sisters with blonde hair, blue eyes. If you can't see me, I am dark brown eyes, hair. I mean, totally night and day difference. But it wasn't just the appearances, Kerri. It was in everything. How we talked, how we walked, how we laughed, the food that we liked, the things we thought were funny. I was so different from my entire family. And so when we talk about belonging, I didn't feel like I belonged. So I tried to shapeshift myself in order to be who I believed I had to be in order to be safe, to not be abandoned, to not be kicked out of my tribe. And that led into years as I continued to grow older and older. I was always trying to be whoever it was that I needed to be, the good girl, the perfect one, the one that was praised, made people happy, because that meant that they would like me and they would keep me. And eventually, what happened is emotionally, I was so emotionally dysregulated that I turned to food. Food was the only thing that did not disappoint me. It was the one thing that I always knew how it was going to smell, how it tasted. I always knew that I could find it where I needed to find it. And it became my best friend, my security blanket, whatever you want to call it. And that led to me becoming morbidly obese at 338 pounds. And to back up just a little bit of backstory, I was engaged at 17. I was married at 20. I became a mom at 21, and by 28, I had three boys, was divorced, and was 338 pounds. So that's truly, I would say, where my changes started, was that moment of being a single mom, reflecting at my life, being the one that was running everything in my life because I no longer had a husband. And I was seeing life through eyes of a woman that didn't have somebody that was giving her permission, telling her what she could and couldn't do. And for a bit of it, I did run the gamut of the home alone. And then I started to think, well, if I don't have a man in my life, I'm not lovable. I'm not good enough. And so I started to go on that journey of finding my next partner and entered into a lot of unhealthy relationships and finally found my husband that I'm married to now. And it's been 14 years and such a life-changing experience for me. But back to that moment of being 338 pounds, I became suicidal. I was struggling with eating disorders. Bulimia was my strongest eating disorder that I struggled with. And when I wasn't losing the weight at the pace that I wanted, when I was not showing up as the woman, the mom that I wanted to be, that's when I became suicidal. And my final suicidal attempt, my middle son saved me by asking me one question: Are you going to die, mama? And I was put into a pause moment because he was asking me a question. And the way that he asked that question made me freeze to say, you have a choice. You have a choice in this, Tara. He's not telling you you're going to, he's not asking anybody else in this room. He is asking you this question. That means you're the one that has to answer this question. That means you're the one that has a choice in what the next steps are. And all of a sudden I heard this voice, which was my own voice. I now understand after stepping into my calling as a healer, that it was God, the universe, the higher power, speaking to me and said, you've got to learn to love your boys as much as you love yourself. That is your only way out of it. And that's the only thing, Kerri, I'd never tried to do in my whole journey of losing weight. I'd never loved myself. And in fact, I didn't even know that there was such a thing as loving yourself. I thought you didn't love yourself. You were loved by everybody else, and their love for you determined how good you were. I didn't know we could love ourselves. And so that was the moment that I started realizing self-love was a thing. And that truly is how I started to go down the journey of losing weight. I started to speak to myself kindly. I did mirror work. I began to love on the woman that was looking back at me in the mirror, regardless of what I liked. If I liked how she looked, it didn't matter. I had to love her. And I started at my feet. And I fell in love with my feet, and I moved up to my knees and fell in love with my knees. And eventually I could look at myself in the eyes and I could say, I love you, Tara. I am so grateful that I get to be you every single day. And just that is what led me to be able to shift my identities to become the woman that could lose the weight, because I let all the rest of it go. So that's the start of it. And then, of course, we move into being a healer, which has been a whole nother level. But I think I'm going to pause. I'm being directed to pause, let you speak, and then we can move forward from there.
Yeah. And what I want to say is that loving ourselves completely changes the equation on what we are wanting to choose for ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like when we're really, really loving ourselves, then we want to make a different choice around food or relationship or job or engagement or taking risks with our body that we don't need to take. Or, it expresses in so many ways. And I love that you were talking about how you thought that love meant performing the role, right? You meant
Right.
that love thought being what somebody else wanted you to be. And
Mhm.
how likely is that that's how so many women get trapped up in these really dangerous situations and also unfulfilling situations, is when we don't realize that we're not here for some, like we're not the side character in somebody else's movie, right?
Yes.
But we're taught
Yes.
that we are. We're taught basically that we're the side character, like we're the arm piece, we're the,
Mhm.
the trophy. And then, but we don't really exist outside of this man's reality. And so we
Amen.
have to
Yeah.
learn, like, no, we're the architect of our own dream. Like we're the central. And this is the thing that just drives me nuts, is that when I just so I can be extra spicy today, everyone,
I
is
love it.
that I was like bending over backwards as a mom in my first relationship, trying to meet everybody else's needs and trying to like keep the peace.
Mm,
And I too put on tremendous weight. Why? Because I'm protecting myself, right? Because
yes.
I don't feel safe. I
Yeah.
don't feel loved. I don't feel supported. I don't feel celebrated. I feel like I'm at war. Like, like I've got to
Yeah.
be mindful of like the that I don't upset anybody. I have to walk on eggshells. It's not that anybody necessarily did anything to make me think that way. It's kind of like a program came in for me, and
Yes.
then I interpreted reality that way. And, so not to cast aspersions, but it's just to say, like, in that relationship, I didn't feel loved and supported. And what I've come to
Mhm.
realize is there was a lot of healing of my early childhood traumas with my first stepfather, who was very violent and who
Mm,
tried to throw my mother off a third story balcony in front of me.
wow.
I mean, that's just
Yeah.
traumatic. Just imagine
Yeah.
that stuck in the subconscious. And so my whole first marriage is like working that out.
Yeah.
And so there wasn't violence towards me. So again, I want to say like there wasn't any physical violence, but there was in perceptions, and there was a feeling of unsafety in love, right? And not feeling
Mhm.
safe. And I feel like the thing that I always thought was I was supposed to be like meeting everybody else's needs and keep the peace. But what I didn't realize is it's the opposite. Like if the mother is the central figure in the family system. And so if the mother is unwell, the family system is unwell. And so
Mhm.
the mother actually needs to command, like take up the space and like sit on the throne, and
Yes.
really
Yes.
own it. And then the family falls together just fine.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and not in a bossy way at all, but just in a self-possessed, you know, centered,
Empowered. Yeah.
empowered, loving kindness,
Yeah.
secure with oneself, secure attached way. When you're in that energetic and you're really sitting in that, and then you can allow other people to have their perceptions and to have their whatever's going on and show up with love, but you have boundaries,
Hmm.
right? And then you're like holding your own space, and not you're not a doormat. I was a doormat for at least 20 years, and that.
Yeah.
So getting out of that, I was resentful because I was a pleaser.
Yeah. Right.
To talk a
Yeah.
little bit about your realizations around that, because you were the mama. You were
Hmm.
you were the mama, and your son's asking you, well, you're going to be around for us, or you're not going to be around, right?
Right. Yeah. So as far as like talk to me what you want. You've covered a lot of things. So
I know,
what do
I
you want
just
me to talk
really
about?
pulled threads. I,
Yeah, it's
you
good
know,
though.
I guess I want to hear about your realizations around your motherhood, and like how did your perception of your role as mother change through your self-love process?
Yeah. So my perception in that changed because I realized that I was valuable, that I was good enough, and that who I was somebody that they needed in their life and that I could teach them so very much. So I took myself out of from being this woman that I believed I needed somebody else to tell me what I could and couldn't do. I went away from being that puppet, right? So prior which is really interesting because my first husband, he was somebody that like I was his mama. That is what I was.
Mm.
However, at the same time, he was somebody that made me feel strong because I had a man in my life. It was like just having a man in my life gave me permission to do and be and have what I wanted in my life. So when I didn't have him in my life, then I started to lose myself and I started to doubt my ability to be anything. But once I began to love myself and I started to see myself in an entirely different way, I valued myself so much. And I started to pour that into my boys. I started to teach them to value themselves. They started doing mirror work with me and they would say loving affirmations to themselves in the mirror. And it really shifted our dynamic because I taught them how to value themselves, but also how to value women and people in this world. And I became the mom and the dad because their dad wasn't very present in their life at all. So I became both roles and I got to learn so much. And having that basis of self-love, I think it opened me up to go deep to learn what do I need to teach them as the father figure in their life? What do I need? Who do I need to be as their mom? And so I was able to navigate both. And still to this day, I mean, all my boys, all three are graduated. I am their cornerstone that they come to. When they are needing guidance, they come to me. When they want celebration around something they've done, they come to me. I am their focal point. And it's because I loved myself enough to let myself rise up and be the mom, be the dad, be the role model that they needed that gave them and gave me that ability to have that in my life.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. And that's what's possible when you actually center yourself in your self-care as the mother,
Hmm.
as the feminine, as the divine female expression, and you get into your body, you rest down into the hips and you show up and you radiate. You have so much more love to give when your cup is full than when you're depleted, right? Because if
Yeah.
we're always like sort of, I love that you taught them how to do it for themselves rather
Hmm.
than telling them the affirmations,
Yeah, no, they did
right?
it right with me. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you taught them to fish, like Jesus talks
Hmm.
about, teach a man to fish. Don't fish
Yeah.
for him, teach him how to fish. And you taught him the most core um, aspects of learning how to self-care for themselves in front of the mirror. Do you know how many people can't look in front of the mirror?
Millions. My clients still struggle. Like, yeah, it's something I teach, and it's the hardest thing for them to do. And you know what's really is just so interesting is they finally get the ability to look at themselves in the mirror and they can do it. And then I ask them to actually talk to themselves like they are a human being that matters. We go all the way back to the first step. They instantly, after they could hold their gaze for about like a minute, and as soon as I say, we're now going to say, Kerri, I love you so much and I'm so grateful to be you. Boom, they can't even look at themselves anymore. They're like done. Like they don't even exist, right? They look at themselves as nothing. Like I can look at me, but now you want me to actually say good things to me? Can't do it. Done. I tap out. Uncle. It's just wild. They
Yeah.
get there. They get there. It just, we have to go back to square one to start back in. And once they've repeated it back again, practicing, seeing themselves in the mirror again, after that second go round, now we can talk. Now we can talk. But it's that worth. It's releasing the limiting beliefs. It's releasing that blocks and all of the unconscious programming that we have that has taught us I'm not good enough. I'm not valuable. I don't deserve love. We have to release that out of our unconscious mind so that we can actually embrace and embody ourselves as someone that matters.
Yeah. And when we're someone who matters, when we really know that we're someone who matters, our attractor field and our gene keys starts attracting at a
Hmm.
different frequency, right?
Yeah.
So people always get upset when we talk about the law of attraction and the experiences that we attract. what I want to say is that I believe that we attract certain experiences because it's necessary for our dharma to unfold. So, in order
Mm-hmm.
to really fully embody our dharma, we've got to have a phase of moving through the shadow frequencies of our soul's curriculum, right?
Yeah.
And we
Yep.
go, and I went through mine for like 40 years. So, hello, like,
Right.
I mean, like
Right.
half my life. Hi. It just took a long time to work through all those shadows. And if I'd had a map, maybe it would have been faster. If I'd had that Gene Keys map, I wouldn't have gone, oh, okay, that's what. And I might
Yeah.
have been able to move through it faster, but some of those are like rabbit holes. And then
Right.
if you have a lack of support from the outer world, if you don't have parents that are watching over you or are abusive towards you, if your self-worth is compromised, if you're being told by the outer world that your only value is in your sexuality or
Yeah.
your prettiness or whatever, your politeness, it, all of that, like it's like so much that's being heaped upon you. And then if you don't have money, you're going to put yourself in situations that would
Mhm.
be dangerous to your physical well-being, right?
Yep.
And so in that way, like the choices that we make or the places that we put ourselves have to totally do with that shadow bandwidth of
Does.
the dharma. But it's not a problem, it's painful, but it's not a
Yeah.
it's like we have to move through that part. And there was many situations where after I sort of when I was at the end, when I was really close to my breaking point before I was going to take my spiritual journey,
Mm-hmm.
I was like doing a lot of behaviors that were risky for my well-being.
Mm-hmm.
And I was putting myself in situations that could have gone really, really wrong. And so I'm just
Right.
fortunate that it didn't. But all of those situations, and I talk about that in my first book, and people have told me when we read that book, we're like, don't go back in the haunted house. And then she goes back in. It's like they're all screaming for me to stop, and
Yeah.
I am too, and I can't make myself stop, right? So I understand the
Yeah.
addiction to the biofeedback that keeps happening, the
Yeah.
biofeedback loop, right? And so,
Yep.
but when we want to shift out of the lower vibrational biofeedback loop that's actually causing self-harm,
Mm-hmm.
then it's not an instant jump, right? Like it's not an
Never.
instantaneous thing. So talk a
Mm-hmm.
little bit about that process. Like how did you break yourself free from these biofeedback loops that were reinforcing I'm not wanted, right? Probably from the trauma of realizing that this isn't even your natural father left. Like he didn't even say goodbye. He just disappeared. And then
Yeah.
how your inner child must have felt, even though you had a dad that was present, but like
Mm-hmm.
how everything must have felt moving. Then your brain is now spotting how different you are, starts to create that story. And then
Mm-hmm.
you've got to unweave like decades of story in order to like really
Yeah.
just love who you are, right?
Yeah. It took me a long time, Kerri. I'm trying to think of when it actually started, and I would say probably about 8 years ago is when it truly started. And at that point, I'd already lost weight. So I became so obsessed with the weight loss journey. And I fell in love with it, fell in love with it. I started to find the muscle definition, fell in love with the muscle. Like all of it felt so good that I was on that path and following it. And I knew that my obesity was a thing of the past, but my internal world was still such an unhealthy place for me. And so even though my body looked good, the rest of my whole world was a mess because your external world is a reflection of your internal world. And it's so true. That is one of the truest statements out there. And so probably about 8 years ago, I was just still struggling with a lot of the thoughts of negativity and being frustrated and being irritated. And my husband and I were outside. We live in northern Minnesota. Hopefully soon we don't because I'm so sick of the cold. And we're hanging Christmas lights. Well, I don't know why we don't do this in July. We've not gotten smart enough, even still, to do it in July. But it's cold and I'm angry and I'm mad and I'm complaining. And all of a sudden, my husband, out of nowhere, says, and he doesn't say much. He's a very quiet person. So when he speaks, you almost like you have to pause. He says, I can't wait until you see the good that comes from this. And I thought, what in the hell are you talking about? There's only good, what? The lights are going to turn on and it's going to be pretty. Okay, big deal. Like I was not connecting with it. And after that, I started to just think about that, like the good that comes from this, the good that comes from this. And I thought, okay, so we're shifting our thinking, and something just connected for me to realize that what if I stepped back and I stopped complaining about it and I found the good? What if I started to see the good in this? What if I started to ask myself, how could I see and approach this differently? And just that by even the Christmas lights, like the moments where I was find myself frustrated in the kitchen, I would say, okay, if you were to step back and you would not be frustrated in this moment and you could look at this differently and find the good in it, how could that help you? How could it shift it? So I started doing that in the moments where I was frustrated, anything with my boys, with travel, anything. And then it started to open me up when I was having these moments of feeling really negative about myself or thinking that I didn't belong. I would pause and I would say, okay, Tara, pause. Take yourself out of this and say, how can you see this differently? How could you look at this differently? And doing that is what started to bring me out of that loop of being caught with constantly going down that rabbit hole of living in the past and regurgitating all of these limiting beliefs and adding to them and adding to them. And so I started to look at things differently. I started to have a more positive outlook and really shifted again the mindset piece of it. And then eventually I learned about neuro-linguistic programming. I truly believe everything divinely lands in your lap exactly when you need it, when you're ready. My husband saying that statement that made me angry needed to be said in order to shift me to out of how I was showing up to think differently in order for me to be ready for that moment when this woman named Kara shows up on my Facebook feed talking about neuro-linguistic programming and releasing limiting beliefs. And I had this pull, like I knew in the moment, as soon as I listened to her, you have got to incorporate this into your program. You've got to. And so ever since that moment, I've been using mental emotional release work, working with the conscious, unconscious mind, shifting our programming and releasing these beliefs and negative emotions that have been holding us captive, being someone that is outdated, somebody that we don't desire to be. That has also been a huge piece of me being able to disconnect from being who I thought I had to be. I believed for so many years, God created women that were beautiful and smart and talented and lucky. Like just everything worked out for them. And then there was me. And I didn't get to be in the corral with those women. I was the donkey off in her own corral, and she didn't get that life. She didn't get that beautiful body or that smart brain or that ability to just have anything she wanted. She didn't get it. I thought that for the longest time, and I didn't understand why God didn't like me or love me. And this has shifted me to realize I was the one that kept walking by the gate that was open, and I just didn't push it because I said to myself, you don't belong there. You don't get to be there. You're not cool like them. The gate was open the whole time. God had it open. God unlatched it. I said, you don't get to be there. And that changed as soon as I started releasing those beliefs.
I love that, Tara. That's so beautiful. And, you know, that self permission you were talking about to let yourself move forward,
Mm,
to let yourself be loved, to let
yeah,
yourself receive healing, to let yourself reconcile the things that life brought you.
right.
And some of the stuff that life brings us, let's just be honest, is awful. You know, it's
It is.
really terribly painful. But inside of that is medicine. And I'm not a silver line. I'm not trying to be a silver lining person because I don't want to bypass the pain, the really real raw pain that people go through.
Right.
But it's like at some point, you're the one that has to walk through the gate. Like your husband was right there going, I
Yeah.
chose you. I love you. What's the matter? You know, like you don't
Right.
understand. But yeah, it's us. We are the ones that have to, nobody can rescue us from
Mm-mm.
ourselves and from
Yeah.
what we choose to make of our life experience. Nobody
Yeah.
can
And
save us from ourselves.
Yeah, and there's so much power in us getting to save ourselves, and we as women don't think that we have that ability. And it comes from hundreds and hundreds of years of conditioning that has been passed down upon us that has said, you aren't valuable. You're a woman. Your voice doesn't matter. You don't get to be the one that makes the decisions. We decide, we tell you, we direct, and then you do. And so we have been conditioned to believe that even though many of us, myself, you, many listening to this, we didn't grow up in that era of being, it's still been passed down through generations and generations because that's what has been implanted into society from hundreds of thousands of years ago. So we women naturally, we stand on the sidelines. And before you hit record, we're talking about this. I see this, big auditoriums of women just sitting there and waiting to be chosen. Like, am I the next one that gets to be free? Am I the next one that gets to have permission to be happy, to be who I want to be? And we're just waiting for our ticket to be called. And I'm seeing that in this divine feminine, women are just stepping up and saying, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm not waiting. I'm retiring my number and I'm going out and I'm living my own life because I am giving myself permission to be who I want to be. I'm giving myself permission to find my way home to myself. And women are beginning to decide this for themselves. And there's so much power when we realize we don't need permission from anybody else to be happy, to be confident, to feel sexy, to be our authentic self. We get to decide that when we so choose to decide that. And it's scary. It's so scary. And there's a lot of baggage that we have to work through to get to the other side of it. However, again, I cannot say it and express it enough. The power that, and I don't mean power trip, but it's that power you feel within you that you are unstoppable in anything that you decide, anything that you want to do. Nothing's impossible to you anymore once you decide to give yourself permission to just stand up and say, hi, my name is Tara, and I'm choosing to be happy, and I'm choosing to give myself permission to do and be and have what I want in my life.
Yeah, and as you were saying all that, I love that image of the stadium and everyone's like got their number and they're waiting for someone else to call it.
Yes.
And they finally just realize, screw this. I'm out of here. I'm just gonna leave this whole matrix. Like, I'm just gonna go be who I came here to be. And I love that idea of giving yourself the permission to heal, giving yourself the permission. And even like I want to give another like visual. Like if you are, let's say, as I have been, admittedly, in a little tug of war, with someone over who's
Yeah.
right and who's wrong and who did
Yes.
damage and they didn't pay and they weren't accountable and you're like holding, you're like trying to tug them over into the mud, you know,
Yes.
and
Yes.
as I have, you know,
Same.
and they won't budge, and it's like at some point you just have to go, namaste,
Yeah. Let it
because
go.
I am ruining my life
Hmm.
focusing all of my attention on this wound
Yeah.
and thinking that this wound is going to get healed by this person paying for it.
Yeah.
Like
And
I'm still going to
mhm.
have my wounds, and not to say
I
there
know.
shouldn't be just external justice. I absolutely believe in it, but if your whole life is getting consumed by trying to get it, that's where I question, is that the place I want? And I've decided for my own tug of war, I'm done. I mean, this is a brick wall I'm
Absolutely.
talking to. Like it's not going to happen. There's
And
not going to be that reconciliation or that recognition even of there's not going to be that. So just like let it go. It's done.
I agree. I love what you're saying because I just recently had this conversation with my stepdaughter because somebody in her life that never should have done what they did, somebody very close. I mean, it was her cousin. We'll just say she has a cousin that actually had actions with my stepdaughter's stepdad and ruined the relationship between her mom and her stepdad. And so my stepdaughter and stepson's family fully, like over on that end of family, just imploded because they separated. And so now my stepdaughter and stepson have had to move, and things have just radically blown up for them. And my stepdaughter said, I just want her to apologize for what she did. I want my cousin to walk up to me and say, I'm so sorry I did that and you're having to go through this. And I finally I said, honey, she can apologize to you for what she did, but it's not going to take the pain away. It's
Mm-mm.
not going to fix a situation. Things aren't going to go back to the way that they were. No matter how much she says, I'm sorry, nothing's going to change it. And I know that you want the sorry, and I get why you want it. And the best way that you can actually, the best thing that you can actually do is just not even ask for it. Walk away and say, I can't have people like you in my life because I value myself and you obviously don't value me. Therefore, I can't have you in my life. That is going to give you so much more in your life of choosing yourself than it is waiting for an apology that's not going to fix it. Just walk away, let it go.
Yeah.
And that is what she's been doing. And she, I can see in her, she's struggling with anxiety. She was struggling with a lot of just emotional struggles. And ever since she just said, you know what, I don't need the apology anymore, I'm seeing that she's moving past it. She was stuck in it. She was
Yeah,
stuck in
we
it
can
because she
get
was
stuck in
waiting
it. We can spend our whole lives. I mean, I've spent a couple
whole
decades
life.
in that conversation,
Right?
So it's like,
Yeah.
how much time do you really want to hook your anchor in the past and carry it forward?
Yeah.
And
None.
because then
None.
you can't actually move forward into a new potential while you're still holding on to this. And the other
Yeah.
thing is that it's got like unmetabolized grief inside there. Like the accounting
Right.
system basically it deflects the grief. Like what's real is
Mhm.
the grief. What's
Right.
real is the betrayal. What's real
Yeah.
is the sorrow.
Yeah.
And so like if we can feel that and really as we're able to feel it, because I know it's intense, but like if we can
Yeah.
feel that with support and really get all the way to the bottom of that, it transmutes. And there's so much strength that I found in like integrity. I like the word integrity because it's in my gene keys chart. And
Mhm.
on the other side of judgment, like at the higher level is integrity. And integrity doesn't say that it doesn't matter what I judge. Like I judged this thing, my internal meter went, that's wrong.
Right.
Right. But if I stay in the judgment, I don't get to the integrity. And the
Mhm.
integrity piece is how is this made to make me stronger? How,
Right.
even if it was not designed, like, even if the universe didn't like actually design it to make me stronger, which I believe it did, but even
Yeah.
if it didn't, I can decide to make myself stronger through it.
Yeah.
I'm not waiting to be saved in that. I'm not waiting for
Yeah.
someone else to fix it for me to move forward in my life. I am choosing to resolve it within myself. And
Right.
I'm doing my inner reconciliation, right? And
Yeah.
then when I do that, I feel strong. I feel
Mhm.
clean. I feel free and
Yeah.
wiser about things,
Yeah.
like, well, don't do that thing again, like um,
Yeah.
there's lessons in so much of it. And so I feel like it's a choice. It's a choice to learn from life and our experiences. And it's a choice to make beauty from the things that happen, right? Instead
Yes.
of more pain and
Yes.
suffering.
I agree. And I think the more that you stay caught in it and looping through it intentionally, right? Because sometimes we do intentionally choose it. I believe, like, I'll choose to be mad at for something at someone for whatever reason, like you're talking about the tug and war for however long. The more that we stay stuck in that with that kind of vibration that we're putting out, the more that we attract the same kind of stuff coming in. It's natural. We just bring it in. It's like we're out looking for it. We're looking for a fight and we keep bringing it. And when we go in and we feel the emotions, like you're saying, the grief, and we just let ourselves be in the presence of those very strong emotions, that's when we can start going in and bringing awareness of why this is triggering me so hard, why this is bothering me. When we let ourselves go into it and ask, like, wow, what is this emotion that I'm feeling? Oh, I feel betrayed. Where do I feel it in my body? I feel it in my belly. Like, wow, okay, so what is this betrayal wanting me to know? When we just start going in and asking these questions, It brings us to understand things that have happened in the past, and that's why I'm being triggered. And not only can we heal through that moment that we're experiencing now in our life, we can bring closure to the things that happened in the past. And that I have found it makes such a big impact on our overall wellness because those old traumas, they become stagnant energy in our body. They take up space, they block our energy flow. And just like we have a cardiovascular system, and if we have blood flow, negative things can occur for us. Same with our energy. We can start to struggle with health issues, depression, anxiety. A lot of things start to happen, heaviness, feeling disconnected or lost. So, the more that we can go in and start becoming aware of past triggers that are surfacing, the sooner that we can start getting to a space of wellness and happiness and feeling whole. The word whole keeps coming to me. Like we get to a state of wholeness.
Yeah, and I think what a lot of people have misinterpreted about the law of attraction when we talk about stuff like that is that we're supposed to just, if you want good things to happen with you to you, you have to keep like staying at a high vibe. And that
Yeah.
is not
Yeah.
what we're saying because
Right. Right.
like, and so on what you're talking about is that there's arrested moments inside where there's traumas that are frozen in place inside of
Hmm.
you that are beaconing out and they're calling to them more experiences, right, of the
Yeah.
unresolved
Yeah.
things. And the reason it's
Energetically.
doing
Yep.
that is so you'll resolve it. Like
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
not a punishment. It's bringing more
No.
of the same to you so that you'll see the pattern and you'll heal the wound by going inside and healing it, bringing
Yep.
love and compassion to yourself and dissolving that imprint on your energetic field. And so the more of
Yes.
these imprints that you heal on the energetic field from past traumas, past lives, ancestral, wherever it's coming from, decisions you made, stories you told before you knew how to use your word powerfully, or that you were already using it really powerfully and it was causing imprints. Whoops. Then, realizing that without a lot of self judgment, just like, oh, yeah, I used to say that to myself all the time. Let me clear that now. I don't believe that anymore. And then
Yeah.
you're just clearing those imprints off. Then you're naturally going to start attracting at the gift frequency and even higher as you keep doing that. But it's
Yep.
not about climbing the ladder to get away and above all your trauma and away from it and
No.
just like I can't feel that because I just need to stay on light and love. I need to just stay up here and I can never feel those things because that will make me low vibe and toxic and then I'll feel bad and then
Yeah.
no.
No. No.
like
And
like
that's why I think that we want to be saved. It's
mhm.
like you said, Jesus take the wheel kind of thing. It's like we want to climb above it and not feel those things. And we want somebody just to save us so that we don't have to deal with those things because we don't feel empowered enough to do it, right? So yeah, no, none of this is about just getting to that high level and then just, flying around, flying our kite all day and pretending like we got nothing to do. And no, I mean, our life is perfect and everything is always amazing. That's not true. That's not true at all. I don't believe that. And I love that you talk about like our body is propelling out these struggles because it's so true, Kerri. We aren't aware of what's going on most times, or if ever, until it's become physical, where we feel it in our physical, whether it's legit pain, you have knee ache or back ache, or you feel heavy and sad and frustrated and kind of feeling. That's all physical feeling. We have four bodies that we live with. So we have our physical, our emotional, our mental, and our spiritual. And so we have stuff happening at our spiritual level and our mental and our emotional. And it's not till it gets to the physical that we become aware of it. So, like you said, that little like beacon pulsing out, that's your other three bodies that are sending out this radar. Your nervous system is alarming the system to say, hello, we've got some struggles here, we've got some issues. And I truly believe that some of these issues that we do call in are being called in intentionally so that we get to that breaking point of saying, I've got to do something about this. I can't keep living like this. Something's got to change. So I do think some of the hardships and many of the hardships and trials and tribulations we experience are intentionally placed on our path so that we become aware of what needs to be healed so that our physical health is preserved.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, if you don't deal with it, you end up with physical manifestation of disease.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
mean, that's what
Yes.
happens. And then I had a cyst on my right ovary the size of a Texas grapefruit.
Wow.
They
And
had to
everything's bigger in
drain it
Texas.
before they could take it out. And I called that my marriage cyst because that's where
Oh, yes.
because I was a
Yes.
pleaser. I wouldn't let
Yes.
myself be angry. I was like, no, that goes down here. That goes
There
down,
you go.
you know. And then I got the
Hmm.
Rite of the Womb from the Four Winds Moonai Key. And it says the womb is not a place to store fear or pain. The womb is to create and give birth to life. And I realized that we've all been trained to make the womb a place to store fear and pain. And so,
Hmm.
yeah, we got to stop that as women and start remembering that the womb is there to create life. It's to create beauty and amazing experiences. And so, yeah, wherever anybody is on the journey, I know that rage is sacred. I want to say rage is completely sacred. And it's sacred in a way, opportunity now with this, huge Uranus energy that's the same as happened in all these other wars, right? Like it always resulted in a war. So we could make a war with men, right? We could make a war
Hmm.
with our bodies. We could make a war along racial lines. We could make so many different wars right now. But how about instead we decide to heal? We decide
Yeah.
to go inside and feel the rage fully and let it alchemize, knowing that that rage could be coming from our ancestry. It could be coming from past lives. It could be coming from something that happened in our childhood. It could be coming from the collective, so many things, right? And so when we alchemize it, when we bring it inside and we actually feel it to heal it, we heal
Hmm.
our bodies of storing that stuff. We get less sick, physically, we get more well. And then we can actually have more capacity to stay present with other people's big emotional outbursts or their
Yeah.
toxic energy. And we can just go, yeah, that's anger. It's not toxic energy. That person is outraged. There's no problem with that person feeling outraged. It's actually fine that they feel that. That's their body is telling them something is not right and you need to make a change, like you just said. Like
Hmm.
our bodies are telling us that the situation we're living through, it's not to for us to rebalance our nervous systems and go on as if nothing happens. No.
Amen.
Like,
Yes.
no. I mean, that's what they did in Nazi Germany. Okay. So please, you guys, like, we're not here to normalize the behavior that's going on. We're
No.
also, I don't think, here to like bring swords out and start slaying everybody. So we're
No.
really here to transform this conflict with diplomacy inside first and then outside, by increasing our capacity to stay present with different perspectives and all of the triggers that arise from different perspectives, right? And then to
Yeah.
heal our wounds, because otherwise we're going to keep perceiving life the same way. Like if all of our, 10 generations past of women have had bad experiences with men, guess what? And if you
So will
haven't
the
done the
next
healing
10.
work,
Yeah.
now we have problems with men.
Yeah. And it just keeps going and going and going. I've had women that have come into my healing studio that are in their 60s, and they've thought that the ancestral lineage will never be changed. They're like, I know that I'm in my 60s and I'm doing this healing session and I've lost all the time. Like nothing can be shifted for my family anymore. And I let them know that's not true.
Not
Like
true.
you healing your wounds that need to be healed will affect your children in their 30s, their 40s, and your grandchildren. It naturally shifts it for them. There's no truth that time is lost in your healing. It doesn't matter what age you are. If you start healing now, you shift the future generations. You shift, if you believe in past lives, your future lives that you travel will be shifted because you are healing wounds that keep coming with you into each life that you go into until it's healed. And sometimes when we come into a life, that's our intention, is to heal what needs to be healed so we don't keep living through it.
Exactly. And you're talking about
Mhm.
being the ones that came in to make the change. If you're in a
Yeah.
feminine body and you had kids in this lifetime, guess what? You're in the power spot. to change the whole conversation by doing inner healing on
Beautiful.
yourself. Because that is going to
Beautiful.
ripple forward in all of your descendants' lines as well as backward to your ancestors. And it's like amazing because we have the bodies, the capacity, the creator energy in our wombs to do that kind of healing. Like that's what we're
Yes.
designed for. So like working on
Yeah.
yourself is not a waste of time, you guys. Like working on
Never.
yourself is honoring yourself and all of your lineage. It's honoring all of life on the planet at some level because she's a mother.
Hmm.
So, yeah, do your work and enjoy
Do
it.
your work. Yes.
And enjoy
Yeah.
it. It doesn't have to be a struggle or like
Yes.
like do your work. No, it's not like that. It's like wow, right? Because your
Yeah.
journey wasn't it a journey of discovery? And we're gonna wrap up in just a minute, but wasn't it like a journey of
Yeah.
discovery for you? Like it wasn't a punishment. It was like
When it
wow.
when I made it a
Oh,
journey of discovery,
okay.
yeah, then it became one of like, oh my gosh, look at this, and I'm learning this, and look at all like now I can embrace it and say, I am so grateful for everything I struggled with. I was morbidly obese. I was divorced, a single mom. My boys and I, we lived in poverty. We barely made ends meet. I mean, I was rubbing nickels together in hope that another nickel would be born, like, which is kind of funny because my boys' last name are Nichols, and I really didn't want another Nichols to be born, but I just thought of that. I'm like,
That's
no, not really,
hilarious.
but okay.
Not really. No more
But
nickels.
no, no more Nichols. So it's like all of that, I now can look at it and say, thank goodness for everything that I went through because it helps me to be able to relate and to understand and look at what I healed and the joy of it. I became a student of the game, Kerri. I became a student of the healing and the learning because it wasn't about a job. It wasn't about a have to. It was about a get to. And I wanted to choose that for myself.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
stopped waiting to be saved and you got in the
Yeah.
driver's seat and with your soul and you said, okay, we're next.
Yes,
I mean,
I stopped, yeah, letting other people. I speak about this in my keynote and in a past keynote, not my current one, but I got myself in the driver's seat like for years. And I think you'll resonate with this. I was on the passenger seat and people were just driving me wherever. I'd be like, why are we here? Why did you bring me here? They're like, well, this is where I wanted to go, so you're just along for the ride. That was my life. I was along for the ride, right? And then I'm like, no, you're fired. I don't need a chauffeur anymore. I'm chauffeuring myself and I go where I want to go. Yeah.
I
Like,
love that you brought that in. I was in the passenger seat and I was just along for the ride. How many women live
right?
like that?
So
Ah,
many. And I want to stop it. I am committed to helping women realize that they can have their own steering wheel. Like they can have their own steering. Yes. Yes. Right? Like,
yeah. And like make choices and you might make mistakes. Oh, well, that's fine.
yeah.
Make a
Yeah.
mistake.
Learn from them.
Okay. You know,
Learn from them.
and
Yeah.
speak up and I know it's hard to speak up because I'm a mom, so I know that especially in that position of mom when you speak up everyone's listening like what is she saying.
Yeah.
So there's a process I had to go through to learn like about speaking to myself first in the mirror like you talked about, right?
Yeah.
And really working it out, the venting part, like in front of the mirror, venting to myself and really working it out first with myself or to
Right.
anybody who could actually hold the container of a sacred space.
Mm.
And then when I'm clear about what it actually is,
Hmm.
usually something within myself, but then there might be a little piece that actually relates to the other person out of that storm.
Right.
That's the piece I bring forward. And I
Beautiful.
think this is what we need to learn how to do as women because we have learned how to vent with each other, which is also called gossiping amongst circles of women. We've learned how to do that, but now I
Yeah.
feel like we can refine that skill and and take it to the next level, like elevate it to the next place where we do get to be fully authentic with how we feel and what we think and where we stand, but also be super accountable to that we are in the driver's seat and that we
Oh,
have been the whole time. It's just that we pretended we were in the passenger seat, and we
yes.
surrendered our authority. Now we're claiming it back, and which is truth. And
Yep.
we're going to stand in the truth. I love this conversation. It's been so beautiful
It
Thank you so
has.
much for this. What a beautiful gift.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I agree. This has been amazing. I've learned so much and I just feel so energized and uplifted from our conversation. I appreciate you. I appreciate the message that you put out, the knowledge that you have, the work that you've done to get to where you are, and now you use it to make a difference in the world. And so I love that you decided to put yourself in the driver's seat, and whoever wants to follow along and be part of it gets to be part of it while they're driving behind you.
Yeah, exactly. And there's no more gurus, you guys. So like one person called me a Pied Piper. She's like, "Oh, you're the Pied Piper," and she like left my list. And I was like, "That's fine. You can call me what you want." But the point is that I'm out here making a difference. I'm having these conversations. I'm doing my best to uplift the timeline through these conversations and bringing in wonderful people like you. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's all we can do. And we're not responsible. So make your own choices and have discernment. It's up to you guys. So let's see.
Amen.
Uh, so you have a freebie. You actually have a freebie that is a free guided energy recall meditation. Well, that's a good one. Tell us a little bit about that on the way out. What does that do for you?
Yeah. So when we're recalling our energy, something that I didn't know is as women, as empaths, most of us women, if not all of us, are empaths, right? And so we give our energy away. It's like we go out. I like to look at it as sneezing. When somebody sneezes, they leave particles of themselves around. And when we are out and about doing things, and even now, right now, I'm giving you my energy, right? We give pieces of ourselves away. And so if you've ever put a puzzle together, when you are putting it together, if all of a sudden you get to at the end and you're like, I'm missing 100 puzzles, that puzzle is not complete. You can never complete it. That is what happens. Just like that moment where you're like, I've worked so long and so hard and I can't complete it. There's missing pieces. Oftentimes at the end of the day, you feel so tired and so lethargic and run down and heavy because pieces of you are missing. Pieces of you are out there. And so in this meditation, help you to recall your pieces back to you, but we're also making sure that any energy that's not yours is also being sent back to who it belongs to. Because just like we feel heavy when we don't have our pieces, they feel heavy. And so I love to put love out in the world. Even those people that we have their energy because they're not the greatest, they were mean, maybe they said something to us. You know what? Let's just love. Let's just send love. So we're going to send their pieces back to them because we just want to have love and light in the world, and let's help them feel better while we feel better. So that's the intention of this meditation, is to bring women and men, it works for men as well, to a wholeness of having their pieces within them and what does not belong released and let go back to where it belongs.
Beautiful, beautiful. So that's available at
Mhm.
tarawiskow.kit.com. And there's actually a full address. There's like some numbers and things like that. So I'm going to put that in the show notes. You guys can just
Yeah.
go down in the show notes and go find that link and click it and go get this free guided meditation. And
Thank you.
yeah, and definitely check out the other links are also in the show notes below. Her website, tara-wiskow.com, and also on Instagram and Facebook. So we'll put that all in
Yeah.
the show notes. Thanks for being on the show. And as I always like to wrap up, I like to tell people, please like, share, subscribe, and share this episode out. And if you enjoyed what Tara has to say, share it out. Give it to more
Thank you.
people, and let more people find her magic. And then we're going to give kisses. Would you like to give some Reiki kisses speaking of getting energy out, here comes
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
kisses. I always give kisses at the end of the show. So here they come, everybody. Thanks for staying till the end. Mm. Mm. We love you so, so much. And we'll see you next time on Soul Nectar Show. Bye for now.
Thank you.
If you found even one gold nugget in this episode of Soul Nectar Show, will you do us a favor? Will you subscribe, like, and share this episode? Maybe even write a comment and let us know what you thought about it. We really, really want to engage with you at a much deeper level. Let's be part of community together. Have a great week, everyone. Bye for now.
Soul Nectar Show. Nectar Show. Take a sip from the drip of nectar, from the source of who you are.